Hello there, macroeconomics aficionados. We are now on part 2 of the ADAS graph, aggregate demand. Now, as you can tell from the image, it's about spending money. All right. So the aggregate demand curve is made up of all of our consumption spending. Let's look at that. There it is. Us out shopping. Also includes investment spending, which is spending by businesses on capital equipment or inventories, or even new housing construction. So that's what investment is. Then we've got our government spending on goods and services. So new road construction, military spending, schools, all of that, the police. And then we have our net exports, which is exports minus imports. Okay, so exports are added to our GDP number or our aggregate demand number, and then imports are subtracted from it. All right. So let's do some examples. Let's pretend for a second that we all go shopping. Okay, so we're spending more. Consumer spending is up. As a result, aggregate demand will shift to the right. What that does is it creates, if you'll remember this, an inflationary gap. Okay, so while most of the time we think aggregate demand, and by the way, aggregate demand is GDP, most of the time we think that's great when it goes up. Sometimes it might not be good if it creates inflation. So there's that example. All right, how about this example? What if businesses are a little pessimistic about the future? They're a little worried that there could be a recession on the horizon or whatever. Well, you know what? It turns out that that very thinking could be prophetic. So investment spending would go down, therefore aggregate demand would go down. That means it shifts to the left. And we mark it as AD2. Our new level of output, we would say, is a recessionary gap. Ooh, how about we do this now? What if we take our fiscal policy learning and we say, hey, let's fix that recessionary gap by increasing government spending? Well, that would shift aggregate demand back to the right again. So aggregate demand is actually really simple. All right. Anything that increases consumption, investment, government purchases, or net exports will shift it to the right. Anything that decreases those things will shift it to the left. So that's the end of our aggregate demand lesson. Next, we will see part 3, aggregate supply.